What is going on, super friends? ELT here. Welcome back to the network, and today I'm talking Spider-Man, in particular MCU Spider-Man, and 10 things I would like to see in Tom Holland's next Spider-Man trilogy, or the College Trilogy as some are calling it. Be sure to like this video, share it with your friends, and subscribe if you're new, and turn on notifications so you don't miss out on any new videos. Warning, this video will contain spoilers to Spider-Man No Way Home, so if you don't want to be spoiled, go watch No Way Home, then come back to this video later. Without any further delay, let's get started with number 1, a new font. I know this one isn't very important, but I would like to see a new font representing the start of a new trilogy. The Homecoming movies font was similar to the original Amazing Spider-Man comics, and for the College Trilogy, I would like to see a more 90s Spider-Man style of font. I always liked that font, I grew up on this font, and to see it return or a variation of it for the next trilogy would just be great. Number 2, Peter Parker becoming a scientist. As we see throughout No Way Home, Peter is in his senior year of high school and is planning on which college to go to, so for the next trilogy I would like to see him at Empire State University working on getting his degree to become a scientist. I really enjoyed the scene in No Way Home of him and the other two Spider-Mans, Tobey and Andrews, working on a cure for the other villains, showing off their scientific skills, and I hope to see more of that from Tom's Peter in the next set of movies. Number 3, to go along with Peter being in college, I would also like to see him working for the Daily Bugle. And yes, as we've seen at the end of No Way Home, Peter gets his new small apartment in New York, and like Mr. Dickovich says in Tobey Spider-Man movies, it's a free country, it's not rent-free country. So obviously, Peter has to pay his rent some way, and seeing him work for the Bugle to get exclusive photos and videos of Spider-Man in action in order to pay his rent would be great. Also, seeing more J.K. Simmons as JJ never gets old. You can never complain about that. Number 4, speaking of JJ, let's talk about some villains I would like to see appear in the next trilogy, starting off with the Scorpion. We were introduced to Matt Gargan in Homecoming, and he was teased to become Scorpion in the post-credits scene of Homecoming, and now I would like to see him in action, going toe-to-toe with Spidey. Also, if they could find a way to incorporate a way to make JJ responsible for the Scorpion getting his suit like he does in the comics, that would just be great. Maybe have JJ along with the Daily Bugle have a GoFundMe project to try to capture the vigilante Spider-Man, and that's how he gets funding in order to get the Scorpion suit to get Matt Gargan to actually go after Spider-Man. Just throwing out some ideas. Speaking of capturing Spider-Man, that brings me to number 5, Kraven the Hunter. Now, Sony has already announced that there is a solo Kraven the Hunter movie in the works, and hopefully that movie will tie into one of Tom's next Spider-Man movies. For years, we wanted to see Spidey fight Kraven in live action, and I actually think we're pretty close to getting that. Just give us a few more years. Plus, if they could adapt a Kraven's Last Hunt storyline in the movies, that would just be a chef's kiss. Moving on along to number 6, more of the Feast homeless shelter, and an introduction to Martin Lee. Now, we have briefly seen Feast in No Way Home with Aunt May working there, and now that she has sadly passed in No Way Home, I would like to see Peter follow in her footsteps and donate some of his time to working there, helping at the homeless, and meeting the founder of Feast, Martin Lee. Now, I'm not saying Martin Lee has to become Mr. Negative in these movies, but I definitely would be down to seeing a live-action Mr. Negative. Insomniac Spider-Man PS4 did a great job with the character, and I would love to see how they handle him in the movies. Plus, they could even get the same actor from Spider-Man PS4 to reprise his role as Mr. Negative in these movies. I mean, come on, he's just right there. At number 7, if the next trilogy is going to follow in the same footsteps as the previous one, in which they have other MCU heroes appear in these movies. For example, in Homecoming we had Iron Man and Captain America, in Far From Home we had Nick Fury and S.H.I.E.L.D., and of course in No Way Home we had Doctor Strange. For the College Trilogy, I would like to see 2 characters in particular, Daredevil and the Punisher, both of them making cameos for these movies. Now, yes, with Daredevil's alter ego Matt Murdock, he does appear as Peter's lawyer in No Way Home, but I would like to see him suit up as the devil of Hell's Kitchen and actually team up with Spider-Man. As for Punisher, on the other hand, it's a bit of a long shot, but they have teamed up before in the comics, or maybe you can even have him hunt down Spider-Man while eventually leading up to them teaming up in some way. Again, just throwing some thoughts out there. I would love to see Daredevil and the Punisher make cameos in the next Spider-Man trilogy. Moving on along to number 8, you can't have Daredevil show up without the Kingpin showing up. Along with being a Daredevil villain, the Kingpin has been one of Spidey's biggest, no pun intended, foes for years. Now, spoiler alert for the Hawkeye Disney Plus series, Vincent D'Onofrio has reprised his role as Kingpin from the Netflix Daredevil series, and I would love to see him interacting with Tom's Spider-Man. Going back to number 4, maybe Kingpin could actually help fund JJ to create the Scorpion Project, or they could just go full 90s style and have Fisk team up with Alistair Smythe to create some Spider Slayers. Either way, I would love to see Kingpin in the next Spider-Man trilogy, even if it's just a brief cameo. At number 9, I have the Black Cat. The fans have wanted to see Black Cat on the big screen for years, and we came so close to that happening in The Amazing Spider-Man 2, but now we are way past due to see Felicia Hardy, aka the Black Cat, suit up for a live-action appearance, as there is a lot of things that they can do with her. They could either have her as a villain going against Spidey, or teaming up with him, and she could even become a love interest for Peter in these movies. The time has come. Give us the Black Cat in the next Spider-Man trilogy. And finally, last but certainly not least, number 10, the Black Symbiote Suit. In the first post-credits scene of No Way Home, we see Tom Hardy's Eddie Brock hanging out in a bar in Mexico before being sent back to his home world, but he did leave behind a tiny piece of the symbiote goo, thus setting up Peter getting the black suit. Now, I'm curious as to how they will go about this. Will we see Tom Hardy's Venom actually face off against Tom Holland's Spider-Man, or will it be a different Eddie Brock from Tom's universe getting the symbiote suit? Or maybe we'll see an Agent Venom with Flash Thompson, which I don't know how that would work out, but hey, who knows. Either way, it's time once again to see black-suited Spider-Man on the big screen. It's been 14 years since we last got one with Tobey Maguire when he became Bully Maguire, and now the world needs to see Bully Holland. Black-suited Spider-Man is one of the most beloved storylines amongst fans, and it is time to see how Sony, along with Disney and the MCU, handle this story for Tom's version of the character. It also makes sense since both Venom movies have been well received by fans, and Insomniac is currently working on their black-suited Spider-Man storyline for the PS5 game coming out in 2023. So, like the saying goes, you gotta strike while the iron is hot, and the iron is very hot right now. The fans, I think we could all agree, we want Venom. In particular, black-suited Spider-Man leading into Venom. So that's it. That is 10 things that I would like to see in the next Spider-Man MCU Trilogy, aka the College Trilogy. Do you like my list? What do you want to see? Let me know all that in the comment section down below. Once again, be sure to like this video, share it with your friends, and subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss out on any new videos. And until next time, I'm your friendly neighborhood ELT, signing out.